Hello, my children. Welcome back to another random talking story time. I have a special treat for y'all today. Today, I'm going to tell you a true story, a true account by someone who's a really good fan of yours truly. Now, before I begin, I would like to say, if you love Hillbilly Creepers Random Talking Storytime, please leave a like, and if you would, kill that subscribe button and notification button and bury them deep in the woods where no one will ever find them. So that's out of the way. Here we go. Alright, the story begins with the fan of mine when he was only a teenager back in the 2000s. He says, back in the 2000s, I was really suffering from a crippling sickness that really took a toll on my health. So my mother took me there, and when we got there, we waited for hours to be took back in the ER. So they run some tests on me after we went back there, and the doctor told me I had to stay a couple of days because it was really serious. They may have to do surgery. But the bad news is they only had one room left because the rest of the rooms were booked up. Everyone was sick. And mind you, this was back before the pandemic started. This was before any pandemic, so everyone else had their own afflictions and sicknesses and all that. So the room that they put me in was on a top floor, and mind you, it was the only room up there. Currently, it was still in development, and next to this room, so unfortunately, was the morgue. And mind you, my parents were morticians, and this didn't bother me, at least. But anyway, I got settled in, put on the frilly lacy gown, or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, they got me prepped, put an IV in, give me painkillers. Well, before they give me painkillers, I waited there until they put me in the system so they could give me painkillers. So as I was sitting there in my bed, my door was open to the hall. And unfortunately, I got a good view of the morgue that was to the right of my room. And as I was sitting there, trying to distract myself, trying to figure out what to do, I was watching a little TV, and that's when I noticed something in the corner of my eye. And when I turned, I looked, and I saw this young woman, couldn't be no more in her 20s or 30s, and holding her hand was a child who couldn't be no more than 2 or 3 years old. And they were standing outside the morgue for a minute. And I was thinking, oh, that's probably normal. Probably a woman and her child going to say goodbye to a loved one who recently passed. That's normal. But oddly enough, something seemed wrong about these people. The woman's expression on her face was vacant, was very, very vacant. Her eyes seemed wrong somehow, seemed very clear and glassy, and just didn't look right. Thinking back on it, it really, really scarred me. But I'll get to that in a moment. Anyway, they looked outside the morgue for a minute and then proceeded to go inside. And I thought nothing of it till a few hours went by, and I noticed they didn't come out. Maybe they left and I didn't notice, or they just didn't want to say goodbye to whoever it was in the morgue. About that time, after I was registered in, they brought my medicine, put it in my IV, and I was out like a light. So, the next morning, a nurse came in, and I asked him, did the woman and her child get out all right? They were up here visiting, and oddly enough, the nurse looked at me with a weird expression on her face like, what the hell are you talking about? And that expression was right when she said, Sir, Mr. Waters, there was nobody visiting the morgue last night. I was like, sure there was. I saw a young woman and her baby. How couldn't there be? She's like, well, maybe you were just seeing things. Medicine that you're on makes people see things. I was like, I know what I saw, and this was before you put me on the medicine, I said. So, day went by in the hospital, and then they started to bring me the newspaper. And I was flipping through the newspaper, forgot about the current days that went by. And I saw something that made my blood turn cold, almost curdle. Right there in the obituary page was a picture of the same girl holding her baby. And at the bottom it says, young mother and child died in a severe car accident due to ignorance by a passing truck driver. And my heart, at that moment, not only my blood went cold, but my heart jumped into my throat. And my eyes got as big as a dinner plate. And I couldn't believe it. The same woman I saw that night walking into the morgue was the same woman who died in a car accident. I don't know if that was a ghost, some figment of my imagination, or I saw someone who looked just like her and it was a coincidence. I don't know. But whatever it was, whoever it was, I really hope they found peace, because what the newspaper said, I'm not going to go into detail, but the accident was brutal. Really brutal. The poor girl, well, I'm just going to say that it's a terrible way to lose your head. So, that is the story of my paranormal encounter, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you stay safe when you're driving and don't wind up like that poor mother and her baby. Stay safe. God bless. All right. Wasn't that a lovely, lovely story? Sad for the poor mother and her baby, but I'm glad that my fan wished them peace. Well, maybe in Slasher I wish them peace as well. Especially that poor child. As you know, I don't kill children. I adore children. Hell, I raised one to be my apprentice. So, I really do hope they found peace. I really do. That being said, if you have any paranormal experiences, please let me know down in the comments. And if you like to discuss them further, you can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, and by email in my About page. And if you like to see more haunted or paranormal or supernatural, let me know. I might actually make it a segment on my channel one day. Well, my children, this has been another Random Talk of Storytime with Hillbilly Creeper. And remember, stay creepy, stay crazy, and try to stay alive. And your Uncle Creeper loves you even after you're dead. And I will see you tomorrow, my children. Farewell for now. Bye-bye.